meeting, this Park and Recreation Commission meeting to order. This is actually the February meeting. We've been unable to meet. Our meetings are generally the last Wednesday of every month. We've been unable to meet, so we have some crucial things we have to decide this evening. So today, here we are. My name is Kelly Rosecrans. We'll just do a roundabout self-introduction, starting on my left.
Mayor Zach.
Matt Heidemann.
Dawn DeSorsi.
Derek Johnson.
Jackie Shea.
Greg Epp.
Okay, thank you. And I'd like to welcome all the public. And when you want to speak this evening, just please stand up and identify yourself. So that. Pardon?
I need to send something around for
Attendance
everyone.
sheet.
I need an attendance
Sign in
sheet.
or something.
Attendance sheet will break. Thank you.
Attendance sheet.
Bring it up. Okay.
All right, our first item of business here this evening is to approve the January 28th Park and Recreation Commission meeting.
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Sorry, who was the motion on?
I made the motion.
Second.
Greg seconded.
Okay, we move into our lease our lease agreements with all the associations. We'll begin with number 3 here to approve the lease agreement with Wisconsin Rapids Men's Softball Association for its use of Meade Field for the 2015 season.
I don't think anyone's here from,
I don't think so.
they already actually signed the lease and sent it back, so they have no issues with the lease. It's the same as the year before.
Okay. Good. So we have to approve that? Just-
Yes.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Lease opposed? Okay, their lease agreement has been re-upped. Number 4, approve lease agreement for the Wisconsin Rapids Women's Softball Association for its use of Meade Field for the 2015 season.
And same thing with them, they have signed their lease and they are happy with it, and it was the same agreement from the year before.
Okay, do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Okay, second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the lease for the Wisconsin Rapids Women's Softball Association for its use of Meade Field for 2015. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Next lease agreement. Approve the lease agreement for the Wisconsin Rapids Rangers Baseball Incorporated for the Ranger Rambler use of Witter Field for 2015.
And the same with them, I've heard from the Ranger people, they have signed the agreement. I don't know if anyone's here from, oh, there you go. I didn't see two. Oh, maybe there's an issue, okay. See, there's a theme here, people. Agreement. So they're okay with their lease. And,
Okay,
yeah.
we have a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Greg, second by Jackie, to approve the lease agreement for the Wisconsin Rapids Rangers baseball for Ranger and Rambler use of Witter Field for 2015. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Sorry, excuse me. Was there a motion on the first
No,
agreement, or was
there
that
wasn't.
just? Okay.
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
To approve. I'll second it.
Thank you, John.
Thanks.
Okay, number 7, approve lease agreement with the Assumption Catholic Schools for its varsity baseball team's use of Witter Field for 2015.
And same thing, they are happy with their lease, they have signed it, and it was the same as last year. The lease agreements with Legion and the 2 high schools, they get a revenue payment each year, and that's based on the concessions from the year before, so, plus they usually round up to the nearest $100. So that's why, those are the numbers that change each year, but Assumption is happy with their lease.
Okay, is there a motion to approve?
I'll motion.
Second. Okay, motion made and seconded to approve the lease agreement with Assumption Catholic Schools for its varsity baseball team's use of Witter Field for 2015. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Okay.
I think number 6 you missed.
Yeah, number 6.
Right, I don't have the updated agenda, so is that going to be regarding our issue?
No, that should
No, that's approval for Wisconsin Rapids Public Schools.
Okay, all right, there you go. Okay, approval Rules of use with Wisconsin Rapids Public Schools for its varsity baseball team's use of Witter Field for 2015.
And this is the same agreement as last year. The reason with the district, because we have a lot of reciprocal agreements with uses and such, and we've decided that those wouldn't rise necessarily to the level of having to go to their school district. So we just call it the rules of use, and they also do get a small concession revenue payment based on their concession from the year before, and they are in approval of the proposed lease for this coming year. Or proposed rules of use, I should say.
So that was number 6.
That was number 6, yes.
Move to approve the rules of use with WRPS.
Second?
I'll second that.
Okay, motion made and seconded to approve the rules of use for Wisconsin Rapids Public Schools for its varsity baseball team's use of Witter Field for 2015. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Greg, second.
Okay, number 8, here's our update. Approved lease agreement with the Wisconsin Rapids Youth Softball Association for its use of Meade Field, Robinson Park South, and Sandlot for 2015.
And I guess I can maybe, well, if you want me to just, this would be the same agreement as in previous years with the removal of Robinson Park North for their use. And then the next one would be a rapid fire fast pitch use of Robinson North. And that's the issue of both organizations wanting to use Robinson North for 2015. Otherwise, I think everything else was hopefully okay in the lease agreement, but I think that's really the issue. I met with both parties and trying to maybe work something out, and maybe there is something that can be worked out in terms of the shared use of that field, but I guess that's for you all to decide. And I would suggest, and I had suggested to the group, that maybe they each have a spokesperson that kind of speaks, and not certainly if anyone else wants to speak later, but at least kind of put the main issues out there and kind of start the dialogue. So.
Okay, do we have a representative from Arissa?
Right.
Okay.
Joel Fluellen, I'm president of Wisconsin Rapids Youth Sports. Basically, we've used Meade Field, Robinson Park for 20 plus years now, I would say, as far as I remember. I moved here in 1995. I remember my niece was playing on Robinson Park for RISA. Actually, it was right about back then, back in the early 90s. So we have a long history with the city. We've been a good neighbor with the city. We helped Alderman Worrell last year give him some bases for a small park. We let Special Olympics play on the fields, church leagues, boys and girls clubs. So even though it's under our control, we're a good neighbor, good community partner, and we do let other people use our fields. We also, Assumption High School plays their varsity games on Robinson Park, and when they do have a JV team, they also play at Robbie North. Basically, we have about 600 kids in our organization. We play at Kellner, Meade Field, and Robinson Park we practice at. The tournament teams are the ones that use the Robinson Park North and South for practice right now. And the payoff, I guess, for the city with that, with the tournament teams, our tournament teams twice a year fill the hotels in town, fill the restaurants, gas stations. Tim Brose, who's a past president, did a study over 5 years. Our 2 tournaments brought in about $675,000 to the city in 5 years. We pay all the utilities for Meade and Robbie. We pay non-resident fees, which equal about $1,200, I believe, a year. And again, we have about 20 tournament teams. About 1/3 of our kids out of our 600 play tournaments. Everyone is welcome to play with RISA, with the exception that if you are a competing team, we don't want basically bad blood with your kids playing my kids if we're both from the city. We see ourselves as a feeder program for Assumption, for Lincoln. We have the Lincoln High School baseball coach on our board of directors. We have buy-in from that program. We have the assistant high school softball coach on our side, on board with us. And the Assumption High School coaches are actually former RISA kids. Basically, the rule that we use, I know it's going to be brought up, saying that we exclude some kids. We exclude probably 7 or 8 kids because they're playing on competing teams, and we don't want hard feelings between kids going back to school saying, we beat you, we're better than you, whatever. But it's basically the same rule that the Legion has used. When Vesper started their program, the Rapids Legion uses the same rule. They can't play for a competing organization. Back in the early 90s, there was a split. It was the Kellner Youth Baseball Association and the Wisconsin Rapids Youth Baseball Association. For financial reasons, the two boards formed one group, and we've grown since then. In the past 4 or 5 years, we've had almost record number of kids in our program. We made improvements at both Kellner and Meadfield. Kellner, about 5 years ago, we built a concession stand, and 2 years ago at Meadfield, we spent about $5,000 on improving we took off the grass infield and the small field for safety reasons. There's too big of a lip. We took it off just for safety reasons. Redid the infield. It cost our organization about $5,000. We paid that, no problems. We use it, so we pay it. This year we plan on making improvements to Robbie North, which is a field in question. There's a batting cage there that's getting, due to some vandalism from the kids around the area, some homeless people in parks vandalized the structure. We plan on fixing it up to make it more usable. And we have probably 8 or 9 people here. That represents about 1% of our parent population, over 600. The Rapid Fire group has 4 or 5 people. That's 50 or 60% of theirs. I don't see the justification in taking the field away from us when we've basically paid for it for years and give it to a group of 10 people for exclusive use. A solution I do have is I took pictures today of Sandlot Park East, which is a functional field, and we've never contracted with Sandlot Park East. We've always contracted west. You can see it has a very good backstop. It's got very good dugouts and bleachers. My recommendation is if Rapid Fire is looking for a field, instead of taking away one of our fields, is to contract them to use that field. Another question when I met with Sue Schill yesterday is it was said that we never used the Robinson Fields to practice, which is untrue. I just spoke with City Clerk Shane Blazer, and he said that his daughter used it last year. Other parents we've spoken with, they've used it, we use it. It's also, with the tournaments that we have, if our other fields become unusable, it's good to have backup fields that are together like that, the north and south, so we can use them just for logistic reasons. So I guess with that, I request that we maintain the rights to both fields at Robinson Park, and the solution I offer is to let Rapid Fire contract the field that's left. Is that my
Question, it sounds like you want exclusive use. So you want 100% exclusive use, thinking that you need it for exclusive use. There is no compromise that can be worked for both teams to be able to use it. whether it was coordinated by a neutral party, i.e. the city, maybe to coordinate usage. So I guess, give me a sense to what extent you need exclusive use of Robbie North.
Well, I guess what's exclusive, I mean, that we do, like I say, we do let Special Olympics plan it, a church league 1 night a week. So we are giving up 1 night a week at least,
Right.
for church leagues. And
Which we appreciate. I mean, I should have said that on the onset. I appreciate all the coordination you guys have done to allow alternative uses of the field.
plus we let, I think the Tavern League, they have their fundraising kickball tournament. I forgot about that one. And, I guess we feel we get punished for doing nothing wrong, just because there's a splinter group that wants to take control of the field when there's another field open.
But they're public parks, they're public fields.
Correct. I agree with that.
So I think, kind of contrary to the public use doctrine is the fact that we were going to, if there's another competing interest that would like to use the fields, if it can be coordinated. I'm just proposing that, if it can be coordinated, if it can't be coordinated, it's a whole other story, to what extent that can't be done.
My response to that is the Men's Association and Women's Association is also a public park. But if you guys have kids, I challenge you to go there in June on a Tuesday in the morning. Their fields are locked up. Our fields are always open. We never lock our fields up. The Men's Association and the Women's Association is locked up where they can't use them. So even though we have the exclusive use, we let men's softball take batting practice on our fields at Mead. We let everyone, but if it comes down to where our kids on our tournament teams or league teams need practice time, that's where our use comes in.
I just want to point out, you have not, in your lease, you do not have exclusive use. You have primary use, non-exclusive use. And it said this for a number of years, that you're not to allow any others to use the facility except with our consent. So, and it said this for a number of years. I know we talked about that a few years ago, that really, if Assumption uses it, they should come to us. If anyone else uses it, they should come to us. It shouldn't be through you. And I know that's an issue that we need to take up with Assumption, but your contract has said this for a number of years, that you have primary but not exclusive use of the field.
I agree, primary
And that's what
versus
everyone
exclusive.
says,
Yeah,
right.
that's fine. But I guess I'm not going to say no to the Special Olympics to use their
Right.
fields.
Right,
you're
but
not
we wanna
leases
make
with the
sure they're
city, not with
insured.
the Special Olympics group.
Right.
Yeah.
Is your board of directors with the coaches and things, are they against another team playing football?
Well, no, they can play, we've all said this, they can play in 20 different leagues if they want. I don't care if they play in Vesper, Rudolph, whatever. But when it comes down to tournament teams, I want to see Johnny playing against Jimmy when they're both in Rapids, butting heads on the field. I got to have them playing with us, and we offered, when this first started, the reason that the group broke away from ISA was they said that the girls were playing soccer, so they couldn't make all the softball tournament schedule with us. And now it's kind of changed where, they do, they're getting possibly more organized yeah.
I was just wondering, Joel, they're.
I would prefer to speak for ourselves.
I was going to
if that's
say,
okay.
I think
Yeah.
your side should be able to talk before
I agree.
before we discuss it.
Yeah. So I'll let you guys finish, and then
No, you should
want me to
speak
go
for
now?
rapid
All right.
fire.
So I got maybe another question for this group, so I can help in my mind balance to what extent they need primary use. Back to the idea of maybe a convening party scheduling, like a neutral party like the city, who has no dog at the fight, right? The city is an agnostic sort of entity that can say, well, this group is going to use it this many days of the week because they've demonstrated the need for it. But we can also still allow another use, whether competing or not, another use for the field. So is that even a consideration before we hear the other side as to maybe a compromise that can be worked out?
I guess depending what it would be. I mean, I'm not saying yes, I'm not saying no.
Okay.
We'd have to
Okay,
see.
so you're open to it.
We'd have to see what it would be.
Thank you. Okay.
We're not the big bad wolf. Okay, we try to work with people. They have boys that play on our organization, so we're not that hated. I mean, if, you know, if
They're
their
youth
boys,
sports at the end of the day.
yeah, I know, if
Just gotta see the obvious.
their boys are playing with us, I mean,
Yeah.
we can't be that bad.
I like to weigh in. I'm Ed Gessert, tournament director for Riza. I'd just like you to understand the way this rapid fire team got formed in the first place is they came to our board. Some kids didn't make the tournament team. They want to do their own thing because of soccer. Riza as an organization threw out to them, be part of the second team, be the coach, pick your tournaments, pick it around soccer, be part of our program. Because talking with Plover, talking with Point, I have contacts up there. They have contracts with the village and with the city, and they said it would be absolutely hideous if some independent group came there and wanted to take their field, any field practice or playing away from that organization, because as soon as you do it for one, the 2 or 3 kids that don't make it this year are going to form a team, and you're going to be at another meeting, and you're going to have another set of problems on our hands. RISA has 660 kids. And again, if they wanted to work around soccer, we were more than happy to work with them. And they wanted to pull away and do their own thing. And now they're finding out field availability is hard to come by. I'm just saying, we did everything we could to try to keep them on board with us. And now they want to pull away and do their thing. So I hope, as you guys make your decision, I would hope you understand that a decision like that is going to hurt our program to the point of over years that we might not have a program. So just go on record to say that is all I have to say. And again, ultimately, I guess it's you guys' decision, but thanks.
If I could ask a follow-up question to the proposal on the table today, that was to use another field. So by having us decide that Sandlot Park or Sandlot Field would be an option, wouldn't that detract from the program just as much?
Right, but Robbie North has lights.
Yep.
So
right.
we can practice later in the evening, so.
So you have the Cadillac Field and they would have the.
Right, they'd have the evening
They'd have
shift
the
from,
Chevy field.
there's 10 kids there they would figure their practice time for 10 kids, where we have a little over 300 kids trying to find fields where they could practice later in the evening, start at 7 and go till 9 or whatever. That's why Robbie North would work for us a lot better than Sandlot East.
Sure.
My son did play on the field in the picture in junior high, and it's a good field. The reason I'd like to keep Robbie North is it keeps logistically our groups together in one place, and they could have their group in one place.
Quick question, Blake Clary. Are the Robbie North lights working? I mean, are they working? I haven't ever seen them used, so I'm not, if that's part of the issue.
We know there are some issues with the lights.
Okay, I mean, I didn't know if they're operational at all last year, the year before, if they've ever been used or not, I don't know.
To the best of my knowledge, they were not used last year. I could be wrong, but to the best of my knowledge, not.
I have a question. My name is Troy Martin. I don't know if anybody else has had any kids participate in recreational soccer, but I guess I've coached and I've had children involved in rec soccer and other sports. And when my daughter plays against other girls that she knows from the community or from other schools or from her own school, and they go to school the next day after playing a soccer game on Saturday or a tournament, they're still friends. So I don't think there is going to be any bad blood because one person who is playing for Rapid Fire plays against one person in the same tournament as someone from Rice. So I'm not understanding, I guess, the bad blood aspect. I think kids are kids. And so we got to be careful, I think, of who has the bad blood right now. I don't think it's the kids. I think we need to remember these are kids, and in 3, 4, 5 years, hopefully, they're going to be playing together. Our children are involved in not just soccer, but basketball. And I'd like to comment on the fact that it wasn't because they didn't make the 18. That is incorrect. They play other sports. Rice's schedule did not mesh with our other schedules. We created a team that would mesh. So there's inconsistencies here that I'm not understanding with.
If I could just say something. I did get talked to by a couple teachers last year that told me that there was issues with kids And so she had to tell them that they couldn't talk about baseball or softball anymore because they were arguing in class. So it does happen. The second thing is that we didn't make this rule for you guys. We made this rule because on the baseball side, like Oshkosh, just to say Oshkosh, what they're doing is they're making super teams. So they're coming in and they're picking Rapid's 3 best players, and Mosby's 3 best players, and these 3 best players, and then they're taking them for a year, and they're doing these super tournaments where they're going and they're just beating everybody because they have everybody's best players. So the reason that we're doing that was really because we were having issues with some of our baseball players going to other places. But then what happens when that team pools next year? Then all of a sudden they want to come back to us, and it's hard to, you're making. Somebody else comes up then that next year and they make that tournament team that year, and then all of a sudden, that great player comes back next year and they want to be back, and it was hard feelings for everybody. So the reason we made that rule wasn't for you guys, it was for these splinter teams that are coming and taking our kids, the best 3 players from here and the best 3 players from there, and that hurts our program too, and that's why we made that rule.
If I'm correct, do any of the teams play right now against each other in tournaments? Girls or boys?
I believe there's one scheduled this year, if I'm not mistaken.
I mean, I know.
That's what we did.
I know we played against a team last year, my boys' team, and I thought it was great. The kids had fun. The coaches, the parents, that part of it had fun. I know there's probably certain circumstances, but as far as the kids, they've played against each other before, whether it's basketball, baseball, football. I just don't see the butting the heads, but you may see that more. I'm just
saying, I actually had a couple teachers come up and say, hey, I had to stop it because this is, I had arguing on the recess, and she said it was just nuts, and that wasn't one. I had a couple, and that's just what people have come up and told me. So, kids are kids, and they say things, and that's just how it is.
When I was in kindergarten, I used to fight with a kid every day about whose dad's snowmobile was faster.
Exactly.
And you know what? We see each other today, and we're good friends. So
it's just, they're just gonna whatever to ride. They'll always look. That's just how kids are.
That's how kids are.
And so I'm just saying it does happen, but that you're not the reason we made that rule. We made that rule because these teams are coming and taking our kids, and that's why we made that rule.
Well, and I can respect and appreciate that. That would be considered an all-star team.
Yes, and that's exactly what they're starting.
I don't think that's what our purpose is here.
if I may, I have.
He's the chair.
Okay, we were going to start out with a spokesperson from each division here.
All right, my name is Brian King, I'm with Rapid Fire, and first of all, I want to thank RISA because it is a great organization, and if anybody has been misled by that, I apologize because that's not what I intended when we broke off or splintered off or whatever you want to call it. We did because it gave our children an opportunity. Just as if any of you are businessmen in the community or businesswomen, you know that you can't be all for everybody. And there was some gaps that RISA left open for us that we weren't allowed to participate and have the same chance to participate as others, and it wasn't because of you guys, it was because some of our girls wanted to play soccer, some were in ice skating or dance or whatever they were in, and they left a gap. And there's a rule that says you can't miss more than 2 tournaments and so on and so forth. So we took it upon ourselves to fill that void and fill that gap. So please don't take it that I think RISA is terrible. I had 2 older kids that played for RISA. I thought you guys did a great job back then. I still think you're doing a great job. So I want that out in the open. I don't think, I hope that there's no bad blood. I coach a RISA or a Cage Club basketball team. I got girls that play for RISA. I got girls that play for Rapid Fire on the team. At the end of the day, we bleed red or blue, whatever high school you're going to go to, and we have fun with it. So I just want that out there first to let you guys know that I appreciate the stuff that you guys have done. I know our Legion person here, she's been through the baseball ringer from all the way through. There's been a lot of people that have made this program what it is. it just does not fill the void for the 13 girls that we coach right now. So going forward, our team has every one of our girls go to the Rapids School District. There are girls that live in the city limits. There are some that live in Saratoga, some that live in Grand Rapids, some in Beer. I just want that to be out there. The one girl that does not, she goes to Port Edwards. We plan on making repairs and improvements to the fields, painting and scoreboard and lighting if it needs be, fencing, security on the buildings, some maintenance on the infield. There's a little bit of a lip in there, it just happens over time. Fertilizing and weed control. This field gives us the ability to play at night. We have some games that we're going to line up, and you know, when you were a little kid and you think back, it's a big deal to play under the lights. And this gives us the ability to play a doubleheader or do something of that nature. We're not opposed to sharing the field. We don't know what our schedule is yet. You know, once we figure that out, if we can get it, you know, written into the contract or whatever and say, hey, we need it on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and you guys need it on Tuesday, Thursday, we're not opposed to that. You know, or if our church league needs to do it, or whomever.
There's more than, you know, for an hour and a half on those nights.
Right.
2 hours. It's not, you know, the hours are 4 to 9, 4 to 10.
Right.
So, not to interrupt you.
Right. But I think the only problem with that is we need to have accountability for it. And somebody needs to say, okay, keep the schedule. Like you said, if you have an online calendar and you sign up for it, you got these nights, you got these nights. If somebody wants to come in and practice after, that's fine too. But when I say accountability, it goes back, you could have, you know, their lighting bills and stuff like that. So if somebody, you know, if one side or the other has the diamond, they're accountable for the electricity and everything that goes through the lights if you were to have the lights on. One side should be able to control that, you know, because you're going to end up paying the bill for it. Currently, right now, we're looking at a program. We have some folks that some are retired, some have jobs that provide them the option of working with kids during the day, and right now I have a commitment from a couple folks right now that they're going to run at least one day a week a camp where you can come in and work on your fielding, your hitting, and all that. And that would be open to whomever would like to come, I guess, if that's, you know, that's an available thing. I don't see, there was a great article written by the Ohio State football coach, and I can't think of his name right now, Urban Meyer. He talks about when he goes to a potential student athlete's house, the first question he asks is, do you play multiple sports? Because he wants to know somebody that's well-rounded. He wants to know if somebody can get along with more than just his football cronies. And that's kind of what we're trying to do. You know, you have to be able to catch a ball to play baseball. You have to catch a ball to play basketball. You have to catch a ball to play football. So, you know, that's why we're trying to give some girls here as many opportunities as we can to play different sports. I guess the last thing I have to say is you folks sitting around the table have the opportunity to grant, you know, some kids an opportunity to play ball under the lights. So I thank you for your time, and you know, we'll do the best we can, and if you vote for them or you vote for us, we will take it, and we'll do what we got to do. So,
Brian, we're an advisory committee, so this will go to the council.
No, I understand that, but you guys would give a recommendation, so.
I must get on the record that Riza offered you that opportunity to play under lights. You're more than welcome to play in our league. You're welcome to play take care of the second team, coach it, pick your tournaments. Let's put that out there, that opportunity is available with the organization that's been around for 25 years. and now these 10 kids decide that they don't want to play in Rise anymore.
Right.
Been good for 25 years, 660 kids in the organization, 300-some tournament ball players, and Rise is not good enough now. We're going to start our own. We're going to give us the opportunity to play under lights.
Nobody said, I never said that wasn't good. I just got done saying that you guys have a great program. It just doesn't work when our girls play soccer on one night and they're supposed to play softball on the same night. It doesn't work.
With the lighting situation, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure that back in the early 90s, Riva actually installed the lights on that field. So.
Great, that's good for the city then. Any permanent structure on one of these fields belongs to the city.
I just want you to take that into consideration. There'd be no lights if we didn't install.
Yeah, I got a list as long as my arm of what I did to winter too, and that doesn't help me out at all.
Yeah.
Let's hold on.
Yeah,
It's not what it's about.
we're here to talk about field and.
Brian Selkworth, if I could just add one more thing, because you guys keep talking about the girls not wanting to play and that we took them, and there's 13 of them that we offered them, we encouraged them last year, because a lot of them didn't want to play league. We encouraged our team to play league, all of them did. We encouraged them to go out, if they could, to try out for the tournament team. Encouraged them. 4 of them wanted to. And one of them was my daughter, and I talked her into it. They just don't want to. And it's nothing against you guys. It's just the way it is.
And my kid played tournament ball since he's 8, and if I could handpick a tournament team and say you're going to play with these 9 kids and you're going to make it no matter what, my kid wouldn't want to try out either.
So let me clarify the hand-picked side of it. 4 years ago, when these girls were 8, they wanted to go and play in tournaments. RISA does not have an 8-year-old traveling girls softball team. So they were nice enough to say, hey, we'll send you to Kaukauna. The 5 of us took 11 girls to Kaukauna under the Rage name. They had a great time. They wanted to play in another one. We asked them if we could play in another one. They said, you can use the Rage name, but you fund the tournament. I said, great, let's go do that. So we went and did that. These same girls have been together since they've been 8 years old. They want to stay together, they want to play together. So we take them to 9 tournaments that we fund ourselves. They pay nothing to play. They just don't want to go out and play for RISA. That's just the way it is. I'm not doing anything to encourage that.
No, Brian, if I may.
You had a question
Yeah,
quite a while
my
ago.
name's Tim Brostad. I was the tournament director for Rice for 5 years and the president for 2 years after that. And my main concern, I guess, is my daughter this year is a senior at Lake High School. She's 17 years old, so there isn't an opportunity for her to play anymore. Rice only goes to 16. The concern that I have is if we allow one group to break off, it's going to end up being the demise of RISA as an organization, because what's to stop me from getting my daughter's age group and her friends and forming a team and coming to you and asking for a field? We want Robbie South, or we want Robbie North. I mean, there's a lot of groups that could be like that. I believe we need to keep the structure of the organization intact. They're doing a very good community service. There's a lot of good volunteers, and we respect the fact that you guys want to have your own team, and they're trying to work with you guys.
Brian.
The only thing I would like to say, and I'm going to speak for the 4 of us right now, is we're here for one reason. We're here to talk about a field. We're not here to talk about if we're going to come back and play with you guys, or you guys let us back, or that's not a discussion for here. We should discuss that somewhere else. I think we just need to get it back on track. And
With the point, I guess, the solution that we offered was the open field at Sandlot.
I'd like to comment on that. I know Dawn gets a lot of calls from just families that want to go out and play ball, and if we give primary rights to that one, there's nothing left for the rec department for people that just want to go somewhere, have a few beers, a picnic, and play a little ball. And I would be, I think, dead set against the idea of taking that field and having a contract with that with primary use.
So,
I believe you
What-
rent that though too, don't you? Don't you rent it if someone wants to get together as a family reunion?
Comes along.
It comes with it.
Yeah.
so Robbie North was only practiced on last year by the tournament teams. They could practice at Sandlot, they don't need lights.
But again, just to keep us,
They have 2 fields there.
They do need lights though because there's more teams.
They never had the lights on.
But they could, and we could have an overflow from 56 teams that we have in our tournament. If we hit rain one day, we're there playing, and it could be a weekend that you decide you're gonna have tournament practice or games, or you picked up some games. What do we do, our organization? That's an overflow field for either our softball tournament or our baseball tournament to play off the field.
what Ed guys are speaking of is that last year the boys tournament brought in 56 teams from throughout the area in Wisconsin. And again, logistically it'll be a nightmare if we do need the fields, it's not available. 56 boys teams, and 38 girls teams, I believe it was.
And that's-
Bringing in the city.
That's primarily Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
We're in tournament.
Yeah, that would be no problem. I mean,
We play almost every weekend.
I think those will be things that you'll be working out,
Right.
but question, you had a question?
Josh Freeman, I'm with the RACA board and on Legion board. I think part of where the problem is that a lot of people in RACA fear is by giving up field rights to a competing, or another organization, I shouldn't say competing, but another organization, is there a trickle-down effect? Do they form another team with another age group or something? Because I know at the Legion level, there's been a trial on this. Vesper formed a team because the Rapids Legion program was too competitive and didn't allow kids to go to basketball camps. So they formed their own team so kids could have more flexibility and stuff just like this. Now they're having 3 teams in Vesper. We have 2 in Rapids, and RACA has a 14-year-old. You have 3 areas in a relatively small community competing for a group of 14-year-old kids. And the Ramblers numbers have suffered. They barely can field a team last year. Vesper's numbers are down. RACA may not have a 14U. And I think that's a lot of the heart of this is RACA's scared of a trickle-down effect. If they get field rights, that's not really the huge issue here. But if another group wants to play soccer or such and says, well, hey, we're going to do this, well, we need field rights. We don't want to open a can of worms to where you have multiple organizations competing for field rights within a small community. We'd like to try to find a way to all work together because at the 14 and 15-year-old age group, when Vesper formed their own team, I think everybody suffered in our high school baseball program suffered, and we don't want that to start at the youth level.
I agree, that's a good point.
I have a
And I'm not saying that would happen, but I think that's a fear is, who's to say the next age group at 10 years old doesn't do the same?
Can I add to that? My name's Adrienne Kingery. I'm board president for American Legion. I was involved with RISA for 7 years. I'm a board emeritus for RISA. We've experienced this with the breakoff of the Vesper group. Legion's a completely neutral party here. There was definitely a separation with the kids in high school ball. The parents talked about, well, Vesper kids were doing this, well, our kids were doing this, and it really has caused some tension having those 2 separate teams break off. So it hasn't been the funnest experience, to say the least. I'm concerned for you guys, and I've known most of you guys for years, about your funding and how you'll be able to actually handle the costs of everything that's over there, Robbie. But if you've only got 10 girls on the team, and I live that nightmare, I know about the
We have
concessions.
13 girls. That's it. We have 13 girls.
Well, however many
Yeah.
kids you have, I'm concerned about what kind of revenue and how you guys are going to generate it to be able to keep that field up. And this is just me being
we
a
have
neutral party
revenue.
here.
We have that.
We have the revenues.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have to share this, but I will. All of our tournaments are paid for. We bought all new uniforms this year, so we have the financial wherewithal, so.
And I don't doubt that. I'm just scared of the trickle-down effect of dividing this community in so many different directions.
I have one thing, just a comment to make on that, Josh. It's a great comment. One thing that this does offer, if you take away the 8 girls that play soccer or whatever the number is, or that wouldn't play softball if we didn't afford them this opportunity, Those are girls that you would not see at the high school level. You would never see them because they would quit at 11 years old. This gives 13 more girls an opportunity to play tournament ball that, this is a feeder program too. I mean, we got girls that are going to go to Assumption, we got girls that are going to Lincoln, we got girls that are going to Port Edwards. This is a feeder program too. I mean, I can't make kids behave, and I can't make them not fight on the playground, but we're just giving more kids a chance to play, and that's what it comes down to.
And I agree with that. I'm just worried about, giving up a field rate. It could open a can of worms, to say the least.
That's exactly it.
Well, and I think, the one thing that I would say, talking about the field, is I would like it to be, thought about the fact that it's 300 kids versus 10. So, I think Joel made the comment that, I think from the RISA standpoint, we're willing to possibly try to work something out, but certainly you got to take in the fact that you got 300 kids versus 13. From that standpoint, well, 600, yeah. I guess when you're talking, a lot of the evening nights, tournament kids, but.
I agree completely with that. But when we only need it maybe 3 nights a week for an hour and a half, there's so much more time available there. What is it? What are we missing? Why can't we schedule everybody that you need there to get in that field? I guess I'm not following.
I guess, like I said, my point was to look at the schedule. So to look what the schedule would look like. I think, like I said, from the RISA side, I think Joel made that clear that we were okay to look at that. But if once you look at that, I guess that's where decisions would have to be made.
So have tournament schedules been out yet? Your tournaments are all paid for, but you don't know the schedule of them?
We know when the dates are for our tournaments that we're.
Our registration goes through March 15th yet for kids in the league. It's pretty much set depending on how many, depending if there's 60 10-year-olds, we have 3 teams, so right now we're playing 2.
Does that include practice schedules as well, or just strictly tournament schedules? You know what I mean?
Well, the coaches are the ones who end up setting up the practice schedules once they have their group of kids together.
Okay.
So none of that's been formed yet.
Okay.
Tryouts are beginning of May, and until those tournament teams and how the numbers are to support those teams, however many it may be in each age group, then that's when people start looking at scheduling practice times.
And I just have a comment. My name is Tracy Olson. If we go to like a calendar where you can sign up online, we have a daughter that's in Cage Club. I know how that kind of works where, you get one coach that gets the beat first and they take the whole time slot, they fill that all up. And so then you might have, 13 kids that are trying for an hour and a half, 3 nights a week. And then where do you put the other 300 kids that need to practice different teams? That's just one team for 3 nights a week. And we got 300 kids to try to get practicing.
Is this for tournament or regular season? I'm an ex-RIBA person, a coach, and it was hectic after tryouts. Right. Every coach had to have, it was nuts, it was wild.
It's like the race to get there first.
That I see, that's always been a problem, but then it dies off. But you folks have a lot more tournament teams these days.
Right, we have double tournament teams like we used to.
But there I see, there are lots of practices, but anyway, I just wanted to chime in on that about
You also have
practices.
8 other fields to pick from. You have 300 kids, but you have 8 other fields.
And they're all filled. Take a one slot.
And
Take a ride around in the evening and tell me which ones are
And
open.
you can use the 2 at Sandlot if you want to.
Go ahead.
No, it's just,
Yeah, there's 2 there. I've used the other one.
And just go on the record, the city, we're not here to have the city try to solve our problems in between what's going on. We're just taking into consideration our field thing, and that's all we ask. That being said, because it could go on for hours.
I guess my
That's the role of the city, excuse me, Joel. That's the role of the city. So the role of the city here is not to choose the fate of the future program.
Right.
Let me be clear, right? It was said earlier on what your kids say at school, but now what the parents say between each other and to their groups when they leave this room and the rest. And I have to say that if we're truly going to win as a community in big kind of visionary sense, it's going to be to figure out a way to work together. We have a limited amount of fields. You guys have a lot of fields to choose from. I realize that. And you also do a lot of coordination on those fields, right? To make it work for everybody. But if there's a program where the program is not meeting the needs, the city's role is not to say, gosh, that program can succeed or fail. That's up to the amount of attendees or the amount of signups, you name it, for these programs. So the role of the city in this is decide who gets primary use of the fields, and if the city feels, in this case, and the leases do step here, based on a comment earlier, they don't go to council, but on these they don't.
Okay.
So, you know, we will be making the final decision tonight as it relates to the leases. And I guess, you know, I would just say that, you know, at the end of the day, if one is getting by allowing primary use of a field, we're inadvertently picking a winner and a loser, right? And so I firmly believe that if there's a calendar that can be filled with the city coordinating that, city being the neutral party, and I realize that it probably won't be first to sign up, some of those things, because somebody's always, again, you need some criteria to figure out, well, if they get certain numbers of the weeks or the weekends, I mean, you've got to figure that out, I realize that. But, you know, those are my comments. We can go all night, and we've spent, you know, enough time, I feel, on hearing from each side. I don't know if we've got any more information we need to make a better decision, is my question in that. So I personally don't favor primary use of Robbie North, but I do believe that a mutual understanding can be agreed upon to the use of the field. That's my 2 cents. How we get there, I'm not certain. To Matt and Dawn as city staff that will be coordinating potentially if that solution gets worked out. I don't know, other commissioners have any other ideas? Those are my comments. Because we can sit and listen to the debate all night, but.
My feeling is the same, I mean, it should be able to work it out. I mean, we're all adults, it should be able to work it out. I mean, it's, from their side, it sounds like it's not that much time, and it doesn't sound like, from what I heard, is that the North was used every hour of the day, every day of the week. So I would think something could be worked out somewhere along the line. I mean, my kids were in soccer, and we had all kinds of places that you had to figure out where you could have a practice at and where you couldn't have a practice at and what time to have one and whatever. I mean,
Could we possibly get the locks off the men's field, so if needed, we could practice on there too, in the ladies' field?
I'd like the city staff to.
Well, this group would grant you permission to use those fields then, and then we changed the men's field probably says the same thing, that they have primary and not exclusive. So I guess I just have a question. If you were going to take this team in and they could go, when would they practice and where would they practice?
They would take Riza Fields.
Okay, so that shouldn't that be any more time, given whether they're a Riza team or a non-Riza team?
But they'd be at Kellner.
Oh, they would go up to Kellner? Because you have room at Kellner?
There's 5 fields at Kellner that all have lights.
So if there's room at Kellner for them, why couldn't the...
From May 16th until July 4th, there is no room at Kellner because of our leagues, Monday through Thursday.
Right, once league starts, then we have to bump everything to the city for our practice fields. And then after July, then we can go back out to town.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's an option to open up the fields to all the other teams. I mean, I'd imagine it would be for rapid fire also. And we can talk to the men's field about that, or the women's field. I mean, is this practice or just for practice, right?
I would assume it's just for practice, yeah.
Ours would be for some games that we have scheduled from.
Any other discussion?
My feelings are right on with Zach. I think the two different parties should be able to work together. We're one community. You know, the most important thing is to let the kids play, whether they want to be on RISA, whether they want to be on your team. But I think the use of the park should be based on the number of participants too. RISA's got more participants, maybe they get more nights during the week. It's the only fair way to do it, but I agree with Greg and Zach here on this point. So,
how do you feel about that compromise?
We can give them Sunday night from 10 p.m. to midnight.
The lights are on, yeah. Matt,
You're paying the light bill, right?
Well, I think from what I hear, the decision's been made. Personally, I'm not happy with it. I have no kids in the program. I don't like it. You gotta compromise. I mean, or is the church league gonna go Special Olympics? Boys and Girls Club.
What nights were they playing on those fields? Do you know the nights?
I believe the church league was Tuesday. Special Olympics, I think, was sporadic throughout.
It was Mondays and Wednesdays at Sandlot.
Monday, Wednesdays.
That's at Sandlot though? Okay.
At least
I
the group
don't see a problem with them.
We've been a good neighbor. We've been a good partner, and now we're getting punished. That's my.
I have a question. So if you're allowing other uses to come in and use the park, what's the hesitancy with another group? I'm just curious.
Because next year's going to be another group, and after that's going to be another group. It's going to happen.
We always have, in the past, we always have, people would call, as the tournament director and the president, they would call and ask for use, and we always granted it. I don't ever remember telling somebody no, unless we already had the field booked for that night.
And we've never kicked families off the field.
We try to work with everybody. We're not trying to keep anybody away from playing. That's our goal too, have every kid play ball.
But according to Sue, that's not Rice's decision though, is to let other entities use the field at their will. So that's kind of a moot point. It's great that you're letting them use it, but.
We have primary use, so.
And that's why they
basically, if we go there and there's somebody on it that's not Rise affiliated, if we have primary use, we get to take the field.
And rather than bother the city people, they would just call the volunteer, and we would take care of it. We always took care of it. There was never a problem.
But it sounds like there's some interpretations, some gray area, let's call it, that has occurred in terms of who's policing the use of the fields, right? And I would defer to the city attorney, who
Well,
is the
that's
author
correct.
of the
We were
lease.
concerned about, who are the people using it and are they insured? And that's why the lease was changed a number of years ago, that the uses have to come through us. We just want to make, and obviously working around your schedule. I mean, you're scheduled, but that we need to know who's there to make sure, that they're insured and, whatever the group is. And so I guess that's generally how we've been proceeding. I thought we were proceeding, but it has been not like that for some time, and I guess I can understand now since it just has continued to be like that, and you probably thought you were doing us a favor, which you probably were for Dawn and Matt, but technically, we give you rights to use, and you can't give anyone else a right to use. It should really come through the city. And that's that way with all of our fields, the rafters included, so.
So really, you could have primary rights yet, but they have rights to use it. Why can't that be worked out that way?
We could make that work.
Because if these kids were on your teams, they would be playing on the field anyway. So why? I just don't understand.
We would like primary rights to one field because we need a home field. Mm-hmm. And if we schedule a game, they have primary rights that they want to have a practice, off we go.
But that's where you work it out ahead of time.
Right. When they originally came to our board with their decision to start this, they weren't having a league. They're just having this little tournament team. This is so they can play tournaments because their kids play soccer. Now all of a sudden they want a primary field because they want to start a league. You see where it's going?
It's not a league.
It's not a league yet.
Can their kids play in your league if they played in a tournament team?
Yep.
With them?
Yep.
And we rolled out against your team?
Yep. And we rolled out that they could take play in our league.
They couldn't play if they were in a competing
Right,
team
so they
against
can't
us.
play in your league if they have a tournament.
Correct.
But according to them,
So now they created a league
Right.
in addition, so they're going
What
to.
they don't understand is we said you come play in our league, and if our first team tournaments don't work, go to second team tournaments and pick your own. And Riser will still pay for it. You still have a place to play. They're saying we don't provide a place to play. We do. We do provide a place to play. Absolutely do.
If we're going to lose the field, I would hope that we get 80-20 at least with the number of kids that we have. I really believe that's fair.
I would just have one final question for the Rapids Fire group. You said you have a girl from Port Edwards. Mm-hmm. Have you exhausted your possibilities of a field in Port Edwards since you have a girl from Port Edwards?
Never really looked at it.
Never looked at it over there.
Most girls are from town. We don't want to travel to Port to go practice.
I was just curious. You have a Port Edwards girl, so I was just thinking, is there any, just wondering to try to avoid any conflict over Robbie Field if there's any opportunity in that community.
I know when we have gone to Port Edwards, the particular fields that we play on don't have lights, so that was, I guess we did.
Because isn't that where you guys have practiced in the past? Have you used Port Edwards? I believe you guys held a tournament there, correct?
No,
No,
they
went
they
to
held
a
a tournament.
Went to a tournament
Yeah.
there. And that's what I just wanted to ask.
I got another question. The $5 non-resident, I know it's a little off subject, but I got to ask it. What majority would you say of students or participants are non-residents in your program?
We paid $1,150 last year, and I figured out yesterday, so it's 230 kids, I believe it was.
230 out of the 600 are non-residents. The other ones are residents. And do you have a non-residency conversely with who is the fields out in Kellner?
No.
There's no.
They don't charge us anything.
Okay. And of your 13, how many would you say are city residents?
12, right? Didn't you say that?
No, 12 of them are Wisconsin Rapids School District students, so.
Let's say
half or so.
Less than half, yeah, probably. The rest of them live out in Kellner.
Okay.
And the Coosa.
Did you want to comment on the fact that we played league up until this year, but
Yeah.
we're not playing league any longer?
Yeah, we did, yeah, it doesn't, we played league with Risa this year.
They keep saying we're offering them this opportunity, but the bylaw
Yeah,
prevents us from.
But really, we're not here to discuss
No, I know.
that, we're here to discuss the field.
I'll make a motion to approve the proposed lease agreement with the Wisconsin Rapids Youth Softball Association for its use of Mead Field, Robinson Park South, and Sandlot for 2015.
Is there a second? That would, we're actually doing
As
number
presented,
8,
so
we're as presented.
as
We're gonna move into the next one. That's gonna be it all over again.
So,
We're-
Mead Field,
This would be
Robinson
number 8.
Sandlot, okay.
Robinson South and Sandlot, right?
Which would be fine to approve now, and then we're gonna move to the next one. We'll be talking a little bit yet.
I'll second.
Okay, a motion made by the mayor, second by Derek, to approve the lease agreement with the Wisconsin Rapids Youth Softball Association for its use of Mead Field, Robinson Park South, and Sandlot for the year 2015. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Maybe other discussion first, just in case.
Any other discussion on that lease? Okay.
Commissioners have anything else to say?
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have that. So now, approve the lease agreement for Rapids Fire Fast Pitch for its use of Robinson Park North for 2015.
So the way I look at it, at this point, the commission now has the opportunity to decide or determine who splits use. We've got a proposed lease, which would assign, the proposed lease would assign it to Rapid Fire Fast Pitch. But I guess I wanted to move on the other ones to get rid of those. This now gives us the opportunity to decide what that split could be. If there is a split we want to dictate for usage, or not offer a proposed lease to anybody. I'm just throwing it out there as a potential, but I guess I wanted to move on to the real issue at hand, which was Robbie North. The others weren't an issue.
Can that be a discussion between you two parties, and is there time to come back at our, well, we have another meeting at the end of the month. Is that too early? And then we take care of that one? That's what I like to propose.
City attorney's exhausted her negotiation, I think, on it. I'm just
I
wondering.
believe at 5:15, so you have 120 seconds. You go.
I mean, not that we have to leave
I
it
guess
at
it could be,
negotiation.
do either of the sides absolutely need closure on this tonight? That you,
If anything, it'd be in our benefit to wait a little bit till after registration closes, and we know how many teams we have.
and then would the parties be willing to meet face-to-face with someone from the city or whatever, and maybe work out something and then come back to Park and Rec at the end of the month?
If I could, I would propose, if we sat down and just had, 2 people from that side and 2 from our side or whatever, and do it and have a mediator. I would.
I would propose to table this lease till our next meeting. So table the lease agreement with Rapid Fire Fast Pitch for our next Park and Rec Commission meeting. That's my motion.
Is there a second to that?
I'll second that.
Okay, a motion was made and seconded to table the item number 9, your lease agreement with Rapid Fire Fast Pitch for its use of Robinson Park North for 2015 until probably our next meeting. So, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
When's the meeting? Was it?
Last Wednesday of the month on.
Yeah, it'll be the last, like the 20.
The last Wednesday will be our next.
29.
It's the 25th, I think.
25th, yeah. So just over.
Sue's gone.
Well, you know, I guess I would just, the motion's already been made and decision's been made in that, but I would suggest finding a common ground. If it's 2 reps from each party, frankly, I don't want to involve the city staff to be the mediator or to hold any discussion on this. We have a lot of things on their plate. Obviously, the weather's great, so Matt's hopping with some other things. We have a ton of agreements with the city attorney's office now to get out. So, you know, as the administrator, I won't volunteer any city staff to sit on that discussion, and I would hope that you'd come forth on the 25th with an agreement. Anybody have any major opposition to that or thoughts to the contrary? All right. I wanted to say that. Thanks,
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank
for
you.
allowing me to say
Thank you.
that.
No, thank you.
The party's left.
Okay, we're going to continue on here. If you folks can stay if you want.
We have a basketball practice.
Thank you. Thank you, folks. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Joel.
Okay, we move on to item number 10, discuss amendments to the City of Wisconsin Rapids Outdoor Recreation Plan 2012-2016 as it pertains to the East Riverbank Trail. We have an attachment in our packets.
What I just handed actually before the meeting were some edits, and I had most of mine were just technical in nature. They were language edits. There wasn't anything really of substance, but towards the end, I would say they echoed some of the things that actually Adam had added to it. Adam, I distributed the one-page bulleted form, which are mostly technical things, and if people have any opposition to them, we can certainly do that. Adam, do you want to speak to this first, maybe, and then we can go through edits?
Is this Adam? Yes, go. Adam Keegan?
I mean, I think for the most part, you guys are aware of why we're bringing this forward. We're currently working on I'm forgetting the name of the grant right now, but it's through the WDNR. Stewardship grant, thank you. So one of the requirements that we need to do is to have an up-to-date outdoor recreation plan. And the second thing is we have to include the items that we're looking at going for the grant for. So for example, one of the reasons we updated the map in here is because it shows the newly adopted bike paths and things that the City Council through the Public Works Committee approved probably about 6 months ago. So what that does is it brings this map into alignment with what has previously been approved. In addition, it added some bike routes, including the one along the east side of the riverbank, which is kind of one of the main reasons we're going for this grant. So that's one of the main reasons we're pursuing this. Since we were going through that, I believe Matt went through it and tried to update all the information on the facilities, showing all the changes that have been done since this plan was adopted in 2010. And then we added a little bit of language in there, again, just to reaffirm that this bike path is part of the plan and it's a key component of what the outdoor recreation plan is trying to pursue. So ultimately, that's really why this is coming before you. I believe, I wasn't here, I apologize, I think it was last month or 2 months ago, you guys had requested they go through and make some other minor tweaks in it and kind of look at it on a comprehensive basis. So that has been done as well, and I believe the mayor's bullet points kind of add some additional discussion to that. We did bring this before the Planning Commission, just as an FYI at their meeting a couple weeks ago, and they had 2 areas that they thought maybe could be added to within the plan. They just thought maybe a little more emphasis, noting all the updates that have happened to Whittier Field since this plan was adopted, mainly kind of as a 2-year one type of thing, because a lot of improvements have taken place there. And the other was whether or not there needs to be a little more discussion or language in there on community pool, because obviously that's an ongoing issue. So otherwise they were fully in support of it. Obviously they have no jurisdiction over your plan, but they're a plan commission, so we thought it'd be appropriate to bring it before them as well. So if you have any specific questions on any of the language, any of the map changes, anything like that, I would be happy to try and answer those.
Commissioners, any questions of Adam?
I would add, I think it's the last 2 options, or last 2 bullet points, I'm sorry, on page 25 and page 26. When it was originally written on page 25, goal was to address a regional swimming pool, and then it talked about cooperating with other governmental entities to create a regional aquatic center. Location and cost, deterring the efforts, need to continue to surface because existing facilities are deteriorating rapidly. So I reworded that to state, and I'm open to suggestion on it, but more of just a starting point. Address the gap created by the impending closure of the only city outdoor swimming pool, Mead Pool. This gap can be relieved by an alternative water feature such as a splash pad. So I think we haven't talked at all about what happens when Mead Pool closes. So I wanted to recognize in our plan that we do need to have that discussion. On page 26, which was actually the recommendations and capital improvements, the first one was previously a regional swimming pool aquatic center. There was a need for a new regional outdoor pool. River City's pool discussion group is reviewing where to place such a facility along with the logistics of making a regional facility work for everyone. I propose language to state, strike the River City's reference, and replace it with, this is to preserve public access to an aquatics facility that strives to meet city residents' accessibility, swim safety, learning, and recreational use. Further, to continue to work collaboratively with partners in a shared use that would promote a sustainable model. So not anything more committing, I think it just more brings it up to date as to what it would say if we were to, and again, I'm open to suggestions, that was just what I took a stab at. Obviously, it's not connected to the reason why we're going through this exercise with the stewardship grant, but if we're going to update a plan and approve a plan, we should probably make sure that we're not approving things that we know are out of date or irrelevant.
Well, that could be a very accurate statement.
Yeah, right? There you go. Anybody have any thoughts on that?
Just a note, when I was getting the copy of this so I can make the changes to it, I talked with North Central Regional Planning Commission, and they had suggested that if we want to make a lot of changes to the plan and make it a longer range, maybe add 5 years onto it, that it's very easy to do. So that's something that you can think about. I know you had mentioned the last time the youth council being part of it and everything, but I know this particular change has to be approved at the next council meeting. So.
And if I can interject a little bit, we have an open position in my department that's geared more towards a community planner type position, and one of the goals of that position is to have someone who can dedicate themselves to a more comprehensive update of this, where you would go out to the public and actually kind of get their input again, make sure we're still on the right path with this, make sure that any trails, whatever aspects are in here are still up to date, and probably pretty it up a little bit, add some, maybe a little more forward-thinking plan than kind of just the bare minimum that it exists today. But again, that would be like a second phase right now for the grant. We're just kind of trying to, once again, do the bare minimum.
I think some of the other new capital improvements that we have kind of surfaced in the last 2-3 years, let's say, on page 27, particularly one was add a new bike connection along the east bank with lookout areas and landscaping. You know, that's listed under Demet's part. I would interject that it should, I think, you know, we still need to go through an exercise of feasibility, to what extent the bike path can fit on the east side, and we've got a park plan or a plan that we're looking at with some design, and, you know, I think there's probably is some level of question as to if we would run that path the entire length, and if we would put it there. I mean, I think there's some feasibility we should discuss on that at some point, but I think the one piece that should be recognized in here is an east side underbridge connection. You know, we don't need any other activities where we have close near misses, close calls, whatever you want to call them, crossing the expressway on a bike or on foot. So to have a underbridge connection on the east side would be an addition that I think is just as important, if not even more important, than an east side bike trail along 2nd Street, if it were. So I would just, that gets my vote if I were to select one or two projects to spend $900,000 to put in a bike path along the river, or to put in an underbridge connection. The underbridge connection would be far more important. It's the end of my comments, I think.
Any other discussion, or we'll have to approve this? I know we move into the next. We have to approve the amended City of Wisconsin Rapids Outdoor Recreation Plan, but that's pertaining to something different, I understand. We're just discussing. Is there any more discussion on this matter? Yes. Yes.
Thank you, Kelly.
Yes.
It's just to point something out, and I haven't done a real thorough reading of this, but at some point you described the conservancy areas, or I'm not sure if that's the name that you give them, the strips along the river on either side of the river. And it was pointed out on one page or another that it was dedicated through the Wisconsin Valley Improvement Company. I know that on the east side of the river, from some point, and that would have to be determined by city folks here, I think, the lots extended directly to the river, and most of that land was in private ownership until the 1950s. And someone went along and petitioned each of the landowners for the public use of that land from that point, I think maybe Witter Street or Locust Street, all the way to Mead Street. And I don't know about any of the situation on the other side of the river, but at one point, I'm old enough to know there were actually buildings there. So I don't know how they became acquired by the city for parkland, but it might be important to modify the language in that particular paragraph to indicate that maybe it came from Wisconsin Valley Improvement, but it also came from private individuals that donated their land.
That's on page 14, the language she's referencing.
I questioned that myself. Reference I had
never heard of Wisconsin Valley Improvement Company, to be honest, but haven't been here very long.
So you would suggest maybe to either include the exclude the reference, or include the accurate references to the donation of, I think.
Well, either research it, but this would probably be the appropriate time to change it or verify it.
Yep. That's what I think, either strike it or, as you say, get it accurate.
It's odd, nowhere else do they reference where it came from except for those areas. So for consistency, it might make more sense to strike it than anything.
Thank you, Susan. Any more discussion on item number 10? We'll move into item number 11, approval of the amended City of Wisconsin Rapids Outdoor Recreation Plan 2012-2016, and a recommendation that the Wisconsin Rapids Common Council adopt the amended plan and pass resolutions regarding the City of Wisconsin Rapids Outdoor Recreation Plan and Stewardship Grant application. We have that resolution.
I'd make the motion to approve, unless people have opposition, including the edits that I came up with, and if there's other edits in the room too,
The outdoor recreation
should be
plan.
included in the outdoor recreation plan. And to recommend that the city council adopt the amended plan and pass resolutions regarding the city of Wisconsin Rapids outdoor rec plan and stewardship grant application.
Yes, Susan?
I have one other comment, and it just came to mind. On Riverwood Lane, when the lots on Riverwood Lane were dedicated, and you're talking about going under the bridge at that point.
Right.
There's public access. I don't know if that's known. And then I think 5 lots up the street, there's another dedicated public access, which doesn't, you cannot see it. It's been appropriated, I think, by the adjacent landowners, and it's, I think, a dedicated access point for people to put their boats in.
Is it on the official map?
I don't know if it's on your official map. It was on the official map of the drawings for Riverwood Lane when it was
I have a
established.
subdivision plan.
I live down there.
Oh, okay.
Whitney, I guess. Beautiful area. You can look into that a little
And
bit.
I don't know if you want to add that to your, it's not a park, but it's an access point for boats, or it's supposed to be.
It's been a portage. So in fact, there's even a piece, as you just said, it is public on the official map, or at least the map, the GIS map on the bridge side, or the south of the bridge there, but I don't see this, you just said the one further down.
Well, if you go about 5 lots down, there should be
Yeah,
another.
it's not very wide.
Through.
I don't know, 20 feet maybe, something like that.
From the road to
the road to the shore.
Shore.
Yeah, and as she said, there's a house on either side, and they sort of in their lawn up to it. But it definitely is public.
Oh, that'd be great. The little nuggets of information.
I had the second from the end down there myself.
Okay. Yeah.
So you're saying between the 5th and the 6th lot? Approximately.
Approximately.
Somebody in the city must know about it. It's got to be on a certified survey map or something.
Yeah. The lot is really strange on the GIS map, so it makes sense that there would be a.
You brought that up already, huh? Yeah.
Nobody ever
Fancy
used it.
technology.
Right. Thank you again, Susan. Any other discussion, or there's a motion on the floor?
I would maybe formally recognize the inclusion of those two pieces in the motion.
Have you got that down?
Identify the. What do we say to identify the public right of way, essentially, or public access along Riverwood Lane?
Well, I think that there is public access right next to the bridge there also, isn't there? Yeah. So you could go under the bridge.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Yeah.
It's going to deal with the utilities on its other side.
Very good idea.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor to approve the amended City of Wisconsin Rapids Outdoor Recreation Plan 2012-2016 and the resolutions regarding the City of Wisconsin Rapids Outdoor Recreation Plan and Stewardship Grant application with the or with the verbiage included or excluded or that we discussed here. You got that all done?
So that would be this and then the Riverwood Lane. But there are some red line
and the Wisconsin
changes.
Valley Improvement Corporate, the reference in Conservancy, references to the donation of the Conservancy land.
That's page 14.
Yep.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Eric. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Adam.
The next one.
Okay. We'll discuss the zoo parking lot estimate.
Janet.
As you recall, at the last meeting, we had an initial proposal for making some changes for safety at the zoo, and after discussion at that meeting, we went back and got a revised parking lot layout. I don't know if y'all have a copy of them or not. The one change you will notice, if you recall our last meeting, the original discussion was to make a loop and utilize the driveway coming in and the driveway going to the sign shop. And after looking at the property lines and the width of the road, it was pretty much determined that two-way traffic on that section would be extremely difficult, and also the fact that the armory parking basically is part of that driveway. So they ended up going with an entry and exit on the main entrance, and came up with this map. I took a look at it, and I like it. The amount of trees that you have to take out with the placement is minimal, as opposed to running that loop driveway. We would have to take more trees out. I think it'll meet our parking needs for other than special occasions, and it eliminates vehicles going anywhere in front of Helen's house. The only downside is it's a little more expensive, but it is what it is. So I think the proposal here that Joe gave us was $70,000 for this parking lot design.
And there's 32 parking stalls, is that what that is?
I don't know if you had the number on there. Yeah, 32. Yep.
So that expands it by how many were there before?
We're lucky if we got 10 there now.
Okay, yeah, that's right, okay.
10
They're all 10 confused spots. This is very defined and
Thank you.
Thank you, George, thank you.
I don't think there'll be any question of where you're supposed to go or how you're supposed to park.
Right.
So.
I like it. I mean, I
Yeah.
haven't walked it, but it looks good on paper.
And we'll still have the option during special events to use the overflow parking on the top.
No, I don't.
Didn't Joe say if we can include this in this year's bid let for pavement?
So.
I believe you
I
did.
thought you did.
But we didn't budget, well, we'd probably pull the cost out of our room tax allocation.
Park outlay, correct.
Park outlay. But did Tim weigh in on how that affects the budgeting for the street crew as it relates to this project? Do you know if it's a 2015 or are we still, now we talking 2016, I guess is my question.
Well, you'd be, as far as you're talking, his budget for on our end?
Maintenance, because of the maintenance activities versus the construction activities, if that, how that.
I don't think it'll have much impact because the majority of this work is going to be contracted through American Asphalt.
Okay. It's just prep for us, probably.
Right. I mean, we might be involved in the
trees, probably. Trees.
The trees and then the parking lot striping we may do with our sign shop.
We wouldn't do grading and
we may do rough prep.
Oh, rough prep. Okay.
But they're going to come in and they're going to do final grade, compaction, do the asphalt.
Okay.
Did you get a bid just from this guy or multiple bids?
Well, this isn't a bid. Joe takes what current cost practice is and puts together the square footage and
It's the interims.
uses the numbers that we use during any standard construction process.
And we'll have to use competitive bidding on it anyway, I think, because of the dollar amount. It's over 25 grand. So we'll have to do, I think that, the competitive bid process will review. I do have a question about all the other asphalt that is really substandard in front of Helen's. I mean, it'd be beautiful, have a nice parking lot there, and then you've got really rough.
It doesn't show us on this map, but we talked about taking some of that pavement out of there.
Okay.
And narrowing that up to the point where it would just widen enough for a service road, and then the rest would be replanting grass.
Maybe your garden master or your master gardeners out there would be all over.
Be all over that?
Project. I'm sure it.
So I guess, I don't know at this point, I guess we're looking for
We're discussing.
discussion. If we're favorable with this second version.
I like it.
Yeah, I like it too.
Shall we move it along for estimates then?
If the commission so desires.
So I can bring it back maybe this month. Yeah.
The overflow lot, is that only accessed from the old parking area or is that from the street as well?
From the street.
The plan would be to access only from the street.
I think it's smart.
Because otherwise you're still going to have that drive-through.
Yeah.
And 90% of the time, that lot's not going to be used. It's only going to be during special events, so.
The gravel lot, you're saying, yeah.
Yeah.
It's up by the trail.
Otherwise, this should provide sufficient capacity for day-to-day operations.
How about the road coming in? How kind of shape is that in? Is that pretty rough yet?
It's not too bad, but there are some transitions because there's been some patches put in there. And our thought was to see if one of the local people could come and heat those up and smooth the transition patches, and then maybe down the road we could do a seal coat on it. And that should buy us quite a bit of time with it.
I'm just thinking you got all the equipment there if it's shot, maybe to get an estimate on that too, at least just for information, if we decide not to go with it, what the square footage of that access road is to repave that.
They can put that on as a
add-on or something. Yeah.
Okay, any other discussion, or you will continue on with this and then bring it back to the next meeting if you have the estimates?
Yeah, I guess I'll talk to Joe and we'll move forward and get some type of a bid spec for this.
Okay. All right. Cool. Okay, we'll move to number 13. Greg, did you look at the bills?
That's the hard copies here?
What is
Do you
that?
want the actual copies of the bills? There's only about 6 of them.
Yeah, I was gonna say that pretty good.
How about the staff reports? Maybe we can jump into, Mary isn't here.
Sure. If you recall last year, we had Friends of Tennis come and give us a donation, and they wanted the Witterfield tennis courts upgraded, and we completed that work this week. So we have the new style nets with the cranks and got everything in place, and she's ready to go. We do have a few surface issues there that need to be addressed, but as far as the nets themselves go, it's completed. A few weeks ago, we started working on some of the sidewalk projects. Our department took care of the tree removals on Washington and on Clyde, and that's been completed. We closed winter warming and have moved the recreation program to that building for a temporary basis. We have a new tenant in Centralia in the space that Mary formerly occupied, and so she's been moved to the warming house. I did go out for bids on a new mower to replace our small Z-Master that we use in the parks, and Rapids Rental was the low local bid, so we've moved forward with purchasing the mower and hope to see that shortly, and the old mower will be sold on Wisconsin Surplus. And we actually have that on the auction. We've got a third listed now. There's an auction currently going, and there's enough equipment for the fourth, but I'm seriously doubting whether I'll get a fourth in this spring because I'm just not going to have the time. But hopefully fall, we'll get another auction started. So, hail damage, the RFP went out, and after a lot of work, we separated some items out, and we have the final tally and the final total, and March 19th and 20th are going to be open days for us to show interested contractors the buildings in question, and we'll be moving forward from there. So it was out today, and we started getting phone calls today. So here we go.
It's $1 million and change for the work we're gonna do.
It's just under.
Just under $1 million, yeah.
Spread the word to local subs and contractors for all the work that needs to be done.
We sent emails out too to anyone that stopped in and brought a packet of business cards.
Good.
Yeah. So I did work with Sue Winch, and we went and checked for our preliminary locations for the spring planting for trees, and I think we're getting a handle on that at this point. And we have received our zoo license for 2015, and now we're working on compiling an animal list and getting cost. So, and as you know, by the weather the last few days, we're already getting calls on opening skate park and other items, and we've been working up at Robinson Park. One of our Just Do It projects have been to relook at how Robinson's Park is laid out with all the rocks used as barriers, and we've found out that we could pretty much essentially do the same thing we're doing now, but eliminate probably 60 to 80 rocks. So we've been working on that the last couple of days. We're going to move one of the gates forward in the driveway and make some other changes, and that should help us tremendously in our string trimming in the summertime, because Robinson Park, we spend a lot of time up there string trimming. So we're trying to reduce our time there so we've got time for other things. So that's kind of where we're at.
Very good. Thank you very much, Matt. And Mary isn't here, so.
Do you have her written report?
There's one available.
Yep, and then I've also got a winter ice pond summary.
Okay.
You want to Greg?
Thank you.
Ice pond numbers.
All right, looks like Mary's got all of the things.
I've been working on the survey too. I've been working on that on SurveyMonkey and having some issues, so it's done. I just working out some bugs. Mary and I also got together to talk about some of the proposed programs that we might look at in the future.
So that wasn't surveyed on yet? Sorry, I didn't really look at this survey.
The survey is sitting out on SurveyMonkey, and I'm having some troubles getting part of it to work.
So has it been distributed?
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
Not yet. And I don't know if that has to be approved or if we can just get it out there whenever. I think we can probably.
Snorkeling.
Yeah. Let's do it. Maybe like open up the pool mat and have a big snorkel thing going on there.
Mike?
Right.
Yeah, the attendance numbers will be 75,000 per day.
Annual ice skating party. Did you go?
I did not.
Did you?
No, I didn't know about it.
The only other thing I know that we're trying to figure out is a place to have gymnastics for the summer, because those programs do fill up. And we've already got people calling interested in them, so.
We've exhausted, we've turned over every rock in this town to find a spot that we can have gymnastics. And I think it might be an opportunity or a reason for us to either change the program to not offer all of this stuff that we offer in these programs, or look at somebody else just doing the program for us.
Otherwise, I know Mary had mentioned, I don't know how this would work, but she said Robinson was used for a long time ago. It was used
for the summer months.
Robbie North.
Perfect.
I'm kidding.
Robbie North.
It couldn't be used permanently.
She said it was at one time.
It was at one time with heating costs at about $800 a month and no running water.
Yeah. Well, and maybe if it's something where we get Robinson shelter, I mean, not would be an immediate fix, but that shelter, if we do some garage doors or what was talked about there, like that.
It could be used for a summer location, but I don't think it'd be cost effective to try to turn that into a year-round facility. It was never intended for that originally, and I think Kelly can relate to some of the plumbing issues you'd have there.
Oh, yes.
And I know Shane had some space too. There's a couple of options maybe.
Yeah, so we have to look at attendance. And
that is definitely a really well-attended program. We have a waiting list already for our April classes. We've added classes in the past to try to accommodate. It's for young, 2 to 3 to 4 to 6 year olds.
Okay, thank you. That's it.
I'll make a motion to for the bills.
Okay, motion made. Is there a second on approval of the bills?
I'll second.
Second by Jackie to approve the bills. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion to adjourn.
So
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it.